So good afternoon once again. I will just take you through the session on the medical device regulatory framework in India. Many of you may be already aware, and some who are still yet to understand the concept of legal framework in India. I'd like to state that all medical devices comes under the Drugs and Cosmetic Act of 1940. This is a central act which is enforced by the state governments and central government, and it is extended to the whole of India. The main objective of this legal framework is to regulate import, manufacturing, sale, and distribution of drugs and cosmetics. In the present act, all medical devices are comes under drugs. In order to have a specific requirement for medical devices, the rules have been prepared in 2017, which are different to the drugs and cosmetic rules, which were earlier in state, and separate rules was framed in 2017, which specifically mention about the requirements in import, manufacturing, clinical investigation, sale, and distribution of medical devices. And these rules were implemented from the 1st of January 2018. When I say medical device rules, it's then the applicability of medical device rules defined in three different sections as concerned with the regulatory frameworks. The first comes under the section 3B1 of the Drugs and Cosmetic Act of 1940, which includes in vitro diagnostics, surgical dressings, bandages, staples, sutures, blood component collection bags. The second set consists of mechanical contraceptive devices and disinfectants used for medical devices. Third and the most important section is the one that has been from time to time gets amended, and this is a section called 3B4 of Drugs and Cosmetic Act 1940. This slide is on the list of medical devices. If you see the slide from serial number 3 to 39, these are the devices which are notified from time to time by the government. All these devices from 3 to 39, wherein 3 to 39, which includes, from till organ preservative solution, that is serial number 25. These devices were under regulations before 2017, and from 2017 onwards, like as per the new medical device rules, the devices like nebulizers, blood pressure monitoring, glucometers, all kind of implantable medical devices, CT, MRI, defibrillators, PET scan, X-rays, dialysis machine, etc., ultrasound, including X-ray, all these were notified by name. So this was the concept till around 2020, and from 2020 onwards the government has changed the way the devices are being notified. From 2020 onwards, the government decided to notify the devices by a form of a definition, and I will take you through the next slide. Yes, this is the slide on the definition of medical devices, which comes in February 2020. According to this definition, all medical devices, whether it is an instrument, apparatus, appliances, materials, or any other article, whether it is used alone or in a combination, and whether it contains a software or as an accessories, if it is intended specifically by its manufacturer to be used in a human being or animal. I just want to specify the word human being and animal. This means all medical devices which are supposed to be or designed to be used in animals or in veterinary hospitals are also regulated under the medical device rules 2017. And the next line, this key line which I have highlighted, if you see, it's primary intended action. The reason why this primary intended action is being highlighted is you may be coming across multiple medical devices in your hospitals which have drugs coated on the device or drugs integrated onto the device. In that case, if you see, it is very essential to understand that the primary intended action of the device. If the primary intended action of the device is because of a medical device, if because of a non-pharmacological, non-immunological, non-metabolic action, then those comes under the definition of medical devices. For example, the one most common example that you can relate is cardiac stent. You might have already come across the cardiac stents and the cardiac stents which are coated by various drugs like sirolimus drugs or drug-eluting stent, which is commonly as referred as. You see, the main function of these cardiac stents is to open up the vessels that has been clogged due to various factors. To open up these vessels, it is essential to have a mechanical structure. So when a cardiac stent is being implanted or placed on a vessel, and while expanding the stent, the primary intended action is to provide a mechanical support so that the vessel remains open for the blood to flow. It's also coated with the drugs like sirolimus so that the immunosuppressants or rejection of this foreign materials can be suppressed to the minimal level. So these mechanism or action or the intended actions plays a key important role in identifying whether the product in question is a medical device or a drug or a cosmetics. Apart from the primary intended action, the main intended function of the device is for serving one or more of the specific purposes like diagnosis, prevention, monitoring, treatment of any disease or disorder, or even alleviation or assistance of an injury or a disability. If it is also used for investigation, replacement, modification of an anatomy or a physiological process, then also these devices would be coming under the definition of medical devices. Apart from that, there is also any device which is used for supporting or sustaining life, disinfection of medical device, or control of consumption, or all under medical devices. For the ease of regulation, the government is dividing the medical devices based on the risk associated. Based on the risk-benefit analysis, the existing medical device rules classify devices into 4 major classes. One is Class A devices, Class B devices, Class C, and Class D devices. Medical devices which are notified by the government are classified on the basis of the first schedule of Medical Device Rules 2017. IPC, can you confirm whether you are able to see the slides or? Hello?
It's okay. It's visible.
Okay.
It's visible, but it's not on the full screen.
Can you go to the next slide, because I am right now not able to move the slides on the screen. Yes.
Now it is visible.
Okay. Still, I am not able to move the slides. I'll just control once again. Yes, and right arm. So the regulation of medical devices are again based on the class of, as I mentioned, the class of Class A to Class D. the authorities responsible for regulating these medical devices are also divided. For example, any import of any class of device, A, B, C, or D, it comes under the purview of the central licensing authority, or the central government issues the license or the permission for the import of such devices, import of medical devices. Whereas when it comes to manufacturing of medical devices, the class A and class B devices are issued license by the state licensing authority, and central licensing authority issues license for class C and class D medical devices. When it comes to the conducting clinical investigation is a study of a new medical devices which has not been approved in the country, totally new in the terms of the intended use, new in terms of the material of construction, new in terms of the design or the performance. So in this case, to enroll human beings to conduct such a study, permission is required, and that permission is being issued by the central licensing authority. And most of you are aware about the retail sale or the wholesale sale of medical devices. Sale is another important factor, and if I can specify that there is a GSR 754 which was released a couple of years back, which specifies special form for medical devices retail sale application. Earlier, for retail or wholesale of medical devices, a businessman or a business partner or a shopkeeper was supposed to obtain registration or license in the form 20B or 21B, which is common for drugs and medical devices. After the new implementation of new rule, the registration requirement has been much more simplified, and a new form was introduced which is called the Form 42. By obtaining Form 42, any person would be able to do a retail or wholesale of medical devices. Another important session or another important activity in terms of regulation of medical device is the QMS, Quality Management System Verification. And quality management system verifications are very key point at the time of manufacturing license or import license in the case. So these quality management system verifications are done by the recognized notified bodies for Class A and Class B devices. And for Class C and Class D devices, it's by the Central Licensing Authority. Here I just want to specify that when it comes to Class A sterile or devices which is having a measuring function, license is required. Whereas if it is a non-sterile, non-measuring, low-risk Class A device, then a simple registration on the portal is sufficient for doing the manufacturing or import of medical devices. Here I just want to specify on the major chapters and schedules of MDR. I'm going to the all details, just want to let you know that there are specific chapters which specifies the requirement for obtaining manufacturing license, for import license, for clinical investigation, and for sale of medical devices. These are the various forms. As you all are biomedical engineers and working in hospitals, many of the manufacturers may be trying to sell their products to the hospitals. At this time, you may ask for the license copy of these products, especially Class A and Class B devices, because all Class A and Class B devices are under licensing regime except the non-sterile and non-measuring devices, for which only registration is required. And other Class C and Class D devices, all kinds of Class C and Class D devices will come under licensing 1st October. That means hardly 5-6 days. From that date onwards, you may demand license. Either it is a manufacturer license or import license or retail or wholesale license, as the case may be, when somebody is trying to sell a product to your hospitals. So these are the few important licenses. The non-license is a concept of contract manufacturing. Probably those who are saying it the first time may not be able to understand the concept of non-license. It's nothing, it's just a simple contract manufacturing, similar to a contract manufacturing. And Form 19 is a special form that is for importing investigational medical device, means the device which is not been approved in the country by the central government hospital or a statutory medical institution. Form 21, this is also a special kind of a form. If somebody want to bring medical device while they are flying from one country to another on their personal baggage, they can do by obtaining a MD21. It's a permission to import small quantity of medical device. So when they are applying for these applications, the application should be accompanied by the prescription from a registered medical practitioner. These are the few forms which are for conducting clinical investigations, and 27 and 29 is for permission to which does not have a predicate device. Predicate means that similar device not approved in the country before. So Form 40, if a manufacturer, Form 40 is a kind of a registration for laboratories. If a manufacturer want to manufacture certain device and test a device before launching the device into the market, and if he's having only limited testing facilities in the factory, then he may use any of these laboratories to generate the data points and use that data while they are submitting regulatory technical documents or obtaining the license. 42 is a license which I have already, is a registration certificate for selling, stocking, exhibiting, and here as exhibiting is this thing, stocking and exhibiting, and for sale or distribute of medical devices or IVD. There's another set of documents. Just want to let you understand these are the kind of documents when a manufacturer comes for obtaining a license. We look into the main to like for class B, C, D, means higher risk devices. Before granting a license to manufacture or import, we categorically specify on two major documents. One is called the device master file and one is called the plan master file. Device master file is containing all the technical standards, compliance with the standards, essential principles of safety and performance.
Yes, sir.
Excuse me. Yeah. So it also composes of risk management documentation, design validation documentations, and the various stability testing documentations. Another part is the plan master file, which illustrates on the plan conditions, the layout, the equipments, and the competency of the staff involved or working in the plant. With this technical document, they also submit the documents on the fees, the design certificates to establish the safety, quality, and performance. So, as I said, government has decided to bring all medical devices into the licensing system. But that decision didn't take an overnight or a sudden decision. It was a phased approach. For example, Class A and Class B devices, the moment it was announced the definition of medical device, along with that, the phase-wise registration of medical device was also published, according to which the firm of Class A and Class B, they has to do a voluntary registration followed by a mandatory registration, and then comes to a licensing regime. You see, there was sufficient time provided to the importer or manufacturer so that they can prepare all their technical documentations, plan master file documentation, and other regulatory documentations in time to obtain the license as and when the devices comes under the licensing regime. At present, we are having around 30 notified bodies, and these notified bodies are accredited by the National Accreditation Board of Certification Bodies to audit Class A sterile and measuring function devices and Class B medical devices. At present, we are having around 6 central medical device testing laboratories for doing the statutory testing and the legal testing or court samples to present on the various courts across the country. There are 39 testing laboratories registered to carry out testing and evaluation of medical device on behalf of the manufacturer. So this gives an overall view. The last 12 slides were giving you an understanding of the framework of medical device and the regulation in the country. From here on 13 onwards, I just want to point out certain key points in medical device rules, which is more related to the adverse event reportings. One of such events is called the essential principles of safety and performance. It's mandatory for every manufacturer or an importer to demonstrate their the compliance with the essential principles in medical device rules. Apart from the essential principles of safety and performance, the most important thing, most of us engineers may always be concerned on the standards which are applied on medical device. So as per the regulation in India 2017, all medical device has to conform with the standards laid out by the Bureau of Indian Standards. In absence of that, they may refer or adopt ISO standard or IEC standard or pharmacopoeial standard, which is available for the kind of medical devices. And even in case, if there are certain cases of a newly developed medical device where these standards are not available, they can show their conformity to validated manufacturer standards. So next, a key point on recall of medical device. This is specifically specified on rule number 89. If a medical device which is manufactured or authorized to sale in India has reasonable reasons to believe it is unsafe, then the such manufacturer or the authorized agent is required to immediate the process of withdrawing the medical device in the market and inform the licensing authority regarding the recall of medical device and the completion of recalling medical devices. Risk analysis and controls. As you all know that there are various levels of risk involved with the usage of every medical device, and the risk analysis and control summary is another key important document wherein the risk associated with the devices are being identified before the device are put in the market. So the risk identifications, the risk control strategies is a continuous process, and as and when there are more and more number of adverse events or more and more number of literatures, even on their product or on products which are available in the market, which is working on the same working principles, every manufacturer or a company is required to look into their risk analysis document and improve their risk analysis and make effort to reduce the risk to the minimal point. Just to clarify again, when it means recall, it can be something that is cause serious hazard to the health, or it can be due to a fail to confirm the quality, safety and performance of a medical device, or any other provisions of the Act and the rules. Here when we say, in this discussion, we will be, in this today's discussion, we will be repeatedly hearing about serious adverse events. So it is very essential to understand the definition of serious adverse event. This is an event which is an untoward medical occurrence that can lead to death or can lead to a serious deterioration in the health, life-threatening injury or illness, permanent impairment of the body structure, prolonged hospitalizations, or may require surgical interventions to prevent from permanent impairment in the body or the function. Even fetal distress and fetal death or congenital abnormalities and birth defects, if a device causes or has an occurrence of such event, then such instances are also classified as an adverse events. This is a website of online system for medical devices. This is the portal through which a manufacturer or importer applies for obtaining import license. So this is just for an awareness, and here is the information on the approved or registered medical. So those who are the medical engineers and those who want to understand a particular device, whether it is approved for import or whether it is approved for manufacture in the country, they may click onto the approved devices, which you see on the right side, approved devices. Click onto the approved devices, you may find the manufacturers who are, or the importers who are approved, and their details of their products. So in this way you can be sure that who are the approved manufacturers or the approved importers in the country, and you may purchase or contact this concerned appropriate authorized agent for devices. This slide is on a few guidance documents that have been released on medical device rules, which helps the manufacturer to understand the various process and the regulatory compliance requirements. This was my last slide. I hope I was able to give a brief understanding on the medical device regulation and just essential for the medical device, especially from the clinical engineering side or a clinical point of view. And I believe most of you are attending this seminar would be actively contributing for the material vigilance program. And just want to highlight that when you actively take part in this program, kindly understand the whole essence of this program is to identify adverse events. I mean, not the routine maintenance issues. There may be, when I purchase a device, there may be certain prescribed maintenance function which is to be performed by the clinical engineers from time to time. Apart from that, if there are any events which were not identified by the manufacturer before this device is put into the market, if such instances come to your knowledge, kindly report such events at the earliest to MVPI so that we can understand the trend pattern across India and the various issues, unanticipated issues, which are occurring with the medical device and which are causing quality, safety and performance issues.